Good morning, students. We were discussing about rights, and particularly we were dealing with theories of rights. I said there are different theories of right, and so far we have discussed liberal individualist theory of natural right, legal theory of rights, historical theory of rights, idealist theory of right, and today we will discuss two more theories of right, that is social welfare theory of right, Marxist theory of rights. Along with it, we will also discuss a distinction between moral right, legal right, and civil rights. These are the three different kinds of right: moral right, legal rights, and civil rights. So what is this social welfare theory of right? According to this theory, rights are created by the society, and rights are aimed at realization or realizing social welfare or socially useful. What is socially useful should have for its test the greatest happiness of greatest in number. So, what does it mean? A right will be a right if it is having utility for the society, if it is useful for the society, if it is for the welfare of the society, then it will be considered as a rights. Right. So rights are created by the society. Rights are related with the society. So it is all about greatest happiness of greatest in number. And rights of individuals are limited by consideration of social welfare, and no individuals can be given rights against the welfare of the society. Now this theory is very much categorical. Rights are not the privileges of individual. Rights cannot allow individual to go against the society, social values, social welfare. Hence, rights of individuals are limited, and this limitation is because why the rights of the individuals are limited. It is limited because it cannot go against the social welfare. Right. So absolute rights may go against the social values, social welfare. So that's why rights of the individuals are limited, and that limitation is justified because of this concept of social welfare. We need rights in order to make our contribution to the social good. We have no right to make unsocial values. We have no claim to receive without the attempt to pay for what we receive. Right. So here, rights, according to this social welfare theory, here rights means contributing towards social value. Right means paying back what you are receiving from. Our rights are built upon our contribution to the well-being of the society. I cannot have right against the public welfare because I am within the public welfare. This is a very good logic, I should not have any right against the public welfare because I am part of the public welfare. I should not have any right which is, uh, you know, negative for me. If my rights is negative for the public welfare, then it is also negative for me as well. So this is the social welfare theory of rights. Then the next theory is the Marxist theory of right. Now, Marxian philosophy is very much critical about the liberal concept of right. They give emphasis on economic and social rather than the civil and civic or civil or political right. Marxism treats rights as a means to fulfill the interest of the proletariat class and establish a strong socialist order. So, rights to Marxism, it is a means to establish a socialist order. It is a means to satisfy the needs of unrecognized category, proletariat class. Now, to Marxism, liberal concept of right does not have much practical values. True liberty is possible only when there is no problem of human exploitation, unemployment, anxiety, etc. So, in a sense, Marxism is dismissing liberalism. It is, it seems as if Marxism is saying liberalism is fake, liberalism talks about ideal things, liberalism is not practical because liberalism does not talk about human exploitation, unemployment, and many other social problems which produces anxiety among the people. So therefore, Marxism being critical of liberalism gives importance on economic rights because for Marxism, economy is the base, everything is the superstructure. So therefore, economic right must be given primacy over the social or civil right. Without economic rights, rights are meaningless. Right. Without economic rights, rights are meaningless. Freedom of thought, expression, movement, etc. cannot have any significance if there is no right to work, right to rest, right to leisure, etc. So that economic freedom is very, very important for the Marxian theory of right. For Marxism, liberal democracy is a bourgeois democracy whose promise of freedom is an illusion. They believe civil right given to the individual must be in conformity with the interest of the working class. Right. So the rights liberalism talks about, that rights is in conformity with the bourgeois class, not the proletariat class. And that's why the richer become richer and the poorer becomes poorer. So the civil rights To Marxism, it should be in conformity with the interest of the working class, proletariat class, poor class, have not class. It means there can be no freedom of speech against the interest of working class. So to Marxism, that freedom of speech cannot go against the interest of the proletariat class. However, in liberal concept of right, no such restrictions are imposed. This is a point where you can have your own criticism looking at the modern state at this political juncture, right? So earlier the civil liberty is in conformity with the bourgeois interest, and for Marxism the civil rights must be in conformity with the proletariat class, and Marx is going one step further, that freedom of speech cannot go against the interest of the working class. But such limitations was not there in a liberalism. So even though uh, you know civil rights was in conformity with the bourgeois class, but freedom of speech was given to everyone to uh, use it against the bourgeois class. But in Marxism, such scope is not there. Freedom of speech, you should not have the freedom of speech against the interest of the working class. This is something, I feel Marxism here in this point very, uh, you know, it sounds very negative, right? Now, right to association is also given under Marxist concept, but this is limited to Communist Party only. So only Communist Party have the right to association, because Communist Party is for the interest of the working class. So if you are against the interest of the working class, if you are not part of the Communist Party, then you should not have right to association. You should not, I said it, there is no civil liberty against the interest of the working class. At the time of the adoption of the constitution in 1936 in Russia, Stalin said there would be no room for any organization of rival political parties, because it is not necessary, since in socialist government there is no exploiting or exploited class. There is no need for Stalin, there is no need of any other parties, because communist parties is for all. There is no exploiting class, there is no exploited class. So no one is exploiting, no one is exploited. So Communist Party is ensuring it. Hence, there is no need of any rival political party. Now, Marxists believe that all rights have corresponding duties. It is through the strict implication of duties they secure rights of the individual, rights of the state, and this right of the individual and right of the state are compatible in the socialist state. So they are saying the same thing. Right means there is a duty. So Marxism holds the same position. Thus, through duty, you can ensure the rights of the individual and rights of the state. And in a socialist state, individual right and rights of the state is compatible. So there cannot be any conflict between these two. Unlike liberals who entrusted guardianship of right to an independent judiciary, Marxist entrusts this guardianship to the Communist Party because communist states do not provide for an independent judiciary. Right. So this is all about your Marxist theory of right. So let me take 2 minutes gap, then I'll come back and we will discuss about the distinction between moral, legal and civil rights. So welcome back. Let's discuss what is the difference between the moral right, legal right and civil right. First, moral right. What is morality? It is something, the expression of your conscience, right? And this moral right is not a legal right. Law may not have accepted it. Maybe the law may accept it in future. But certainly, moral rights, you can find there is social recognition. Society accepts it. Because your conscience, since the source of moral right is your conscience, your conscience cannot go against the society, societal aspirations, societal values. So moral rights rest on social recognition, not yet been recognized by the state. Hence it cannot be enforced by the court of law. Right. And this moral right is based on the moral consciousness of the community. I said the source of moral right is individual's conscience. If you compare individual on the basis of their conscience, then you will find individuals are more similar. They are part of one consciousness. They are one. They are part of the consciousness of their community. So, moral rights, it is based on the conscience or consciousness of the community. It represents the ethical consciousness of the society. Ethical consciousness of the society. Right. It is something beyond law, but the law cannot disrespect this moral right. But since law has not recognized it, it is a moral right. For example, child must be properly fed, brought up, educated by parents. Wife must be affectionately treated by the husbands. Teacher must be respected by the pupils. So these are some of the examples of moral rights. The teacher cannot legally bound the students to respect him. The wife cannot legally bound the husband to be treated affectionately. The child cannot legally bound the parents. It depends whether parents are having that consciousness or conscience. Now, these claims are essential for the harmony and human progress, right? And it is moral right is a promise which is freely and nationally made and therefore reflect what a person should have from the perspective of a particular moral and religious system, right? So basically these moral rights are the self promise that I will do because I am a human being. I am a Hindu, I am a Christian, I am a Muslim, I am a true Hindu, true Muslim, true Christian. When moral right becomes legally enforceable, it turns into legal right. So, what is moral right today? Tomorrow it can become the legal rights. But the danger with the moral rights are vague, right? Vague means no clarity. When we are talking about moral rights, then individual cannot define that right clearly. This was precisely the view taken by Jimmy Bentham, who rejected the idea of moral right. For him, it is nothing more than a mistaken way of describing legal rights that right to exist, sorry, that ought to exist, right? So for Jimmy Bentham, moral right is vague. The concept moral right should be discarded because there is no need of having moral right, because moral right is a mistaken way of describing legal rights. So we have legal rights. So for Jimmy Bentham, morality cannot be beyond law. To him, law is only moral. Morality cannot be beyond law. Law is moral. What is not legal, that cannot be moral. That is the position of Jimmy Bentham. Next, come to the legal rights. Now, these rights are recognized by the state, sanctioned by the state, enforced by the state. It is described as positive right that are enjoyed regardless of their moral content. For example, till 1992, husbands in United Kingdom had the legal rights to rape their wives. And legal rights extend a broad range of legal relationship. So what it means? If it is your legal right, then you should not thinking or you should not think about morality while exercising your legal rights. In that example I gave, raping to your own wife, it was a legal right, though we can say that it is not morally correct. Right. So there are four types of legal rights: liberty right, claim right, legal powers, and immunities. What is liberty right? This right allows a person to do something but not obligatory. For example, I may use public highway, but one cannot force me to use it. You can use public highway, but it is not a obligation on you. The state cannot or anybody cannot say you that you should use public highway, otherwise punishment will be given to you. So this is called liberty right. Second is the claim right. One person owes another a corresponding duty. For example, rights of one person not to be assaulted by another. Right. So this claim rights, it's all about, or it depends whether you are performing your duty or not. Right. See, if I will not do my duty, then you cannot enjoy your right. And before you claim your right, you must ensure my right by performing your duty. If I do not want to be assaulted, then I should not assault you. Right? So right of one person not to be assaulted by the another. So that is claim right. Then legal powers. These are the core categories of legal rights. Then legal powers. It means legal abilities that empower someone to do something. Right? For example, right to get married, right to vote. These are your legal powers. These are, nobody can snatch, nobody can say you that you are not allowed to marry, you are not allowed to give your vote, because these are your legal powers. And the fourth category is the immunities. One person can avoid being subject to the power of another. For example, right of elderly, weak, disabled person not to be drafted into the army. Right. So it means by these right immunities, immunities is one kind of legal right. Now by that you can avoid certain things. So being a weak person, being a disabled person, being a old man, right? I can demand that I should not be drafted into the army. I should not be allowed in the army because I am a weak person, elderly person, disabled person. So this is the immunities. Now, United Kingdom legal rights are residual. Everything is permitted if not prohibited. But in India, it is procedural. Everything is prohibited, that is not permitted. So this is the difference between India and United Kingdom on legal rights. In United Kingdom, if law has not prohibited you, you are absolutely free. In India, if law has not permitted it, then you are not free. because law has not said it to you to do things. So this is all about your legal rights. Let's come to the last, civil rights. Now, what is the civil rights? Now, rights which are necessary for a civilized existence is known as civil rights. They are called civil because they are essential conditions for a civilized society. Now, every individual living in a state enjoys these rights because that individual is a social being. Now, to be social, you need civil right. To contribute to your civilization, you need civil right. Now, civil rights vary from state to state and time to time. So, in terms of time and space, civil rights vary. It is an expansive and significant set of rights that are designed to protect the individuals from unfair treatments. Right? So all these civil rights, these are there to protect the individuals from unfair treatment. Now, rights that come under the civil rights are right to life. However, it doesn't mean that right to end your life. Now, suicide is a crime against the society and self. Then, right to family life, that is, right to marry and produce children, right to education, right to personal freedom, that is needed for mental, physical growth of the individual, right to personal freedom, then, right to religious freedom, then, right to freedom of thought and expression. This is something needed for the personality development of the individual. Then right to freedom of movement, right of press. Right of press means right to get your views printed in media for spreading education and information. So the purpose is to spread your views as part of education and information. Then right to equality, right to justice. Right to justice means to save weak and poor. Then freedom to form association, that is right to protect your own interest, right? You can form association, you can protect your own interest. Then right to cultural freedom, that is free to develop your language, custom, literatures and traditions, right? Then right to contract, that is right to enter into free contract. So these are the some examples of civil rights, right? Political rights are also part of the civil right. Economic rights are also the part of civil rights. So civil right is a bigger umbrella. Now rights that come under the political rights, that is right to vote, right to contest election, right to hold public office, right to petition, right to form political parties, right to criticize, right to oppose government, and rights that come under the economic rights, that is right to work, right to adequate wages, right to property, right to rest and leisure, right to economic and social security, right to fixed hour of work. You can explain on these all these rights, you know uh, with 2 or 3 lines. I am not explaining it. So basically, these are the political and economic rights are part of the broad umbrella of civil right rights. So in conclusion or in not and shell, we can say that rights are not privileges. Rights are the responsibility. Right. Rights are the responsibility. Rights means duties, right? Without duty, you cannot ensure the rights. Right? So that's it. I will provide you materials on rights, and that's how I think I am completing your, uh, you know, first part of your module 3 of this paper, right? Political theory, ideology and debates, right? So thank you very much.